Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
absolutely impossible scene.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We'll go bust. We got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
absolutely impossible scene.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We'll go bust. We got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion. Good evening, everybody.
And good evening, everybody. Already with some technical hiccups, you got to listen to the intro twice. But enough about that. Welcome back. PSGL PCF2 is here for season 42, of course. That's now our 13th season, 14th season here on the PC platform. But of course, overall, it's our 42nd season. And of course, the season that brings a close to the F125 1.0 version. Of course, we'll be back for F125 2.0. I believe it's around May time. Maybe June, we'll have to wait and see. But of course, a big welcome to everybody once again. And Omi, even though me and you have been together commentating for about 3 years, we've never actually done a full PSGL season together. Well, for the first time, that's going to happen here this season.
Yes, let's hope it lasts until the end. Let's not jinx ourselves yet. We'll hopefully complete it all the way through. But yes, it is time for another season, and great to, of course, have you back after 5 seasons away from F2.
Season 36 was the last time I did a full season, and we're back for season 42. I thought I might as well come back for one more here on the F125 game, and we'll see if it's reignited my spark ahead of the new game, because I'm not going to lie, it's not been the best year for the F1 scene, unfortunately. I've moved off onto the sorts of iRacing and LMU as of recent, so I thought we'll give it one last shot and see what the game can deliver. But of course, the main thing that will decide if we deliver is the calendar. That's one thing that we look at every season to see, right, is the racing going to be good or not? I think we don't get much choice anyway with F125. Looking at the calendar though, I do like a few tracks here. For me, the season opener and the season closer are perfect. Spain, love the track, especially in qualifying for Spain, because the times are so close because of how short the lap time is. You're in the 110s, the 0.6s, 0.7s, maybe even a cheeky 0.5 if you've got it in the bag. And then Jeddah, to close off the season, yet again, super close in qualifying, and then going into the race, you never know what to expect with Jeddah. And then, of course, we got thrown in there the likes of Brazil, we've got a Belgium. I also think Austria is perfect for racing as well, round 3. But looking at this, Omi, I mean, we've got a few tracks, however, that are definitely going to cause an upset, such as Azerbaijan, Singapore, Abu Dhabi. But what do you make of the calendar for this season?
I think it has a mix of basically everything, pretty much. You're going to get circuits where overtaking will be possibly slightly tricky, and the qualifying, which as it is across all races in a PSGL season on this game cycle, qualifying is going to be important, but a bit more compared to some other circuits possibly. But yeah, you're going to get Baku, as you mentioned, which is going to cause plenty of chaos. Brazil has delivered some good racing as well over the last few seasons, and Abu Dhabi and Jeddah have also been quite fun. So there's plenty of circuits in there, a 10 race calendar and 10 races which should all deliver hopefully some entertainment from start to finish.
Certainly, I'm sure they will. What we're going to do quickly is we're going to pop on the pre-race info tab, and I was going to have a quick chat through the grid for this season. So I'm not looking at my phone to be rude. It's because we haven't, unfortunately, got a graphic with the lineup on, so I'm going to have to read it off because I can't remember it off by heart, unfortunately. And of course, we do have all of our reserves here, so I don't want to be saying they've got full-time seats, and they haven't. So, reading through the teams, you've got a very strong McLaren with Leo Lund and Larry Torquay. Ferrari, we have Sergio Sobrino and Conrad Bohm. Red Bull, it's Tony Hirtala and Ray Simtiaz. Mercedes, it's Tom Roberts and Oscar Furaheim. They've got Aston Martin with Gabriel Quintino and Pasquale Ranieri. Alpine, it's Isaac Leitz and Elia Tomasetto. Haas, we have Gabel Chontos and Tudor Prezakan. V-Carb, it's Joe Murphy and Francesco Largo. Williams, it's Nelson Alves and Cameron Dowds. And finally, Kick Sauber, it's no longer Ryan Modler and Tamas Kokani. It's Tamas Kokani and Alexander Dimas, who has been given that full-time spot after Ryan, unfortunately, has departed the F1C. But there we go, Omi. That's the lineups for this season. I mean, we was talking about earlier on who we kind of expected to see up the top, and I think that the first name we got drawn to was Leo Lund.
Yeah, absolutely. Leo Lund, because, you know, he's had seasons of just running there highly at the top level. And, you know, last season, it was, of course, started on the back foot by missing the opening race. Of course, Rapasa was able to get ahead and get a bit of a margin. So was Hirtala. And then the results ebbed and flowed. And then there was quite a bit of drama across throughout the season as well. But, yeah, it's Leo Lund who definitely heads into it as definitely one of the drivers you can't look past to possibly be joining our champion club.
Certainly, and we'll pop ourselves onto the pre-race tab because now I've got all these different scenes we can mess with. I want to have a play with them so I know what works and what doesn't work. So at least we know that the pre-race scene works, of course, before we head our way into the cars going out onto track. And of course, once again, a big thanks to Josh Merrin for getting us our sponsor boards again for season 42. Of course, we are in partnership with Sim Racing Setups, some of the best setups on the market. I've gave a couple a try, and I've got to say that they are actually quite good. I'm not very good at the game, so if they can work for me, they must work for some of you league racers that are up and coming, and have probably got maybe a second on my head at least. But we do have cars on track, Omi, so let's go over to our main screen, where we've got Tope out, who I believe has just returned. We've got Gabriel Quintino, Nelson Alves, all going out onto track, and got a little bit of a side-by-side battle here, haven't we?
Yeah, the early leg up on each other taking place out there on the circuit. We're on to the outlaps then, as the drivers get themselves all set and ready to battle over a single point that is available for pole position, which of course we have had in recent seasons and will be the case once again here in season 42. So you can already see someone as a championship leader by the time we conclude the 16 minutes and 30 seconds that are on the clock.
Certainly, and I'm going to go and have a little look here at Tony Hirtala, who's another driver that we could certainly see fighting for that championship. Of course, kind of came out of nowhere last season in terms of being right up there with Luca Rapasa and Leo Lund, and as the season got on, he of course had a couple of poor results, and the main one being that Mexico drama with Leo Lund when he had a puncture, rejoined the track, and unfortunately spun and hit Tony Hirtala. So it's a big season now for Tony, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on him because he knows that he can fight for a championship. So if he finishes 5th this season, to him it's not going to be an excuse because he knows he should be higher. So a lot of pressure going on to Tony heading into this season. But Omi, I'll give you the choice. Who are we going to go on board with for the first lap of the season?
Oh, well, I think let's go over to Tope. Let's go over to Tope. And the reason why I say that, is he's already pushing on around this circuit, is he is back with us after a couple of seasons away. He has already, in F2, had 32 starts previously and has contested over 3 seasons. But he's had some time away, similar to you, Mr. Richards. And he's come back now for season 42 and is going to try and be running at the top level of F2 as well. Comes into this with 2 wins previously, 5 podiums and a pole position, a single one off that. So he's been up there near the front, but he'll be hoping to have that consistently as he is about to. First of all, set a lap time on the board, which Quintino and Alves have just done ahead.
Indeed, a great lap there from Nelson Alves to go quickest in this session by 30 thousandths back to top 8 in second place, and Quintino just reigning off the top 3 at the moment as Jensen Ravison goes up into third. Of course, one of our newbies here in F2. It's his first season up in the top of the main tiers. Of course, was in F3 last season, had a really good result and got bumped up into F2 as Tony Hietala goes quickest in the Red Bull. Of course, we know he's very quick in qualifying, so not surprised to see him up near the top of things as we see Alexander Dimas there. Of course, was part of that, I think it was the F4 title battle last season. He's now jumped up into F2 and claims the full-time seat in Sauber due to Ryan Modler, of course, retiring from the F1 scene. So, of course, we do wish Ryan the best in his real-life endeavours, and hopefully we'll see him join us back in the future. Of course, Ryan was the main man when it came to our lobby hosting. He always had us covered, and now we have to try and find some alternative arrangements as Tomasz Kokeni goes quickest for Kick Sauber with a 110.921. Francesco Largo goes into third place. A great lap by him as well. It's also his first season, I believe, in PCF2, as we still have a few more cars here only to set a lap time.
Yeah, still waiting for plenty of the drivers to make their way through. Here is one of them, a driver who was able to claim a pole position at long last, right at Jeddah, when it came to the end of our campaign in Season 41. In Season 42, he's starting it off in P6 at the moment. Now in the Aston Martin colours. Race Imtiaz making his way through as well as he comes over the line and goes to the 9th fastest time of 1:11.0 as Elia Tomasetto goes to the top. Another driver who is improving up to the 2nd tier now has the lap time that is at the front, but can Leo Lund try and respond?
Going to be close here as Leo Lund only manages P6 there. There's a few more cars to cross the line as we see Larry Torquay go 14th, and it's Sergio Sobrino to the top by over a 1/10 of a second with a 110.809. A great start there for Sergio Sobrino, who goes to the top of the timings in that Scarlet Red Ferrari. And then, of course, we've still got a few cars who are yet to start laps. Gabor Chontos and Conrad Bohm, and then we've got Isaac Leet, who isn't out of the pit lane yet, and hopefully we'll see him head out onto track shortly. But here we have Gabor Chontos in that beautiful, I think that's the Japanese livery, isn't it, of the Haas, heading his way through turns 2 and 3. Beautiful rendition there of the Haas car, and we'll see what Gabor can do. Of course, we know Gabor very well. Qualifying, he's one of those taking the top honours, but in the race, issues, mistakes seem to creep in. So hopefully he's had a bit of a better season in season 41 that can prepare him here for season 42. But we know around tracks like this it's difficult to overtake. So if Gabor struggles in that in that part of racing, this could be a very difficult night for the Haas driver.
It's vital. It's absolutely vital to perform over this 1 lap pace, as you mentioned as well, to just make sure that you can keep yourself in contention. If you can qualify well, you've still got a chance of finishing very much high up if you can stay out of some of the F2 carnage, let's say, that I'm sure we'll be getting across this season. We ride on board as we make our way out of the final turn. So where will this lap time put him? P11 at the moment, so just outside the top 10. Of course, very close to creeping into that 1:10, and that is Conrad Bohm. Ferrari 1-2 at the front of the field. It was Sobrino who went fastest earlier on, and now it's Conrad Bohm who has gone to 2nd place.
Well, it's a Ferrari 1-2, so I guarantee somehow Sergio Sobrino is going to have an engine blowout somewhere. Ferrari 1-2s, even in the game, don't end well in luck, so yes, at the moment it's Ferrari 1st and 2nd. Great laps from both of them. The first drivers in the 1:10.8. Of course, having a chat earlier with a good friend of mine saying that we expect to see the 6s and unfortunately the 7s, which I hate to use those two numbers together. And then, of course, a peak lap, you're looking at a 10.5. We're around 3/10 away from that at the moment, so we'll see how the session goes on and how the track ramps up. But Gabriel Quintino here has found a 10th and 1.8 tenths in Sector 2. That's good enough to throw him right up to the top or near the top of the timing. So we'll see what Gabriel can do through the final couple of corners. Of course, recently joining the SCI team after departing FVR. And we'll see if this new change will help him as he makes his way out of the final corner, up towards a line. Where would he go? It's second. It's a 110.854 for him. Next car to go on a lap, I believe, will be the Williams of not Top 8. It will be the Williams of Nelson Alves.
Yeah, so Alves making his way and rotating his way out of turn number 13, and now about to make his way through 14, the final corner on this circuit. And let's see where he can go in a few moments' time. Turns 8 into P4. So Alves, who was able to take his maiden F2 pole after so many starts last season, looking to build upon that as well this season, and his teammate is also there for company. He's improving by 600ths of a second.
Indeed, and I'm looking in the chat and I'll see Grande Pasquale Ranielli, and it's from Giorgio. Giorgi Ranielli, I think. I'm presuming that's his father or grandfather possibly, so welcome into the chats, Pasquale Ranielli relation, as Top 8 goes up into 5th place, just 5 thousandths back from his teammates Nelson Alves, as we now start to see a few more cars making their way out onto track. Of course, it's normally about the 10-minute mark we see cars going out, but with this track being a bit shorter, that's probably why it's around the 9-minute mark around here, and I'm sure it'll be the same once we get to the final moments of qualifying. They'll go out a little bit later, just because they don't need to go out so early to get prepared and set for their final lap time. So we're expecting 2 more runs, I'd imagine, in this qualifying session. And the one thing, Gomi, I should have checked, but I didn't, and you probably do know. Does the restart thing still exist?
No, unless we get any grid, unless we get any grid penalties, it is a no. We won't be getting any restarts. So you get through this qualifying, and then it's not too long until we get to the 5 lights.
Yes, indeed. And I was wondering that just because if we did have a qualifying session separate to the race session, we could have had all cars with 4 sets of soft tyres, but of course that won't be the case if we are going straight into the race. You're not going to go for that softer tyre allocation, so that makes sense now of, yes, we'll see probably 3 laps for these drivers, maybe 4 if they back off early on one and go again. So we'll go on board here with the Red Bull of, which one will it be? We'll go on board with Race Imtiaz as he makes his way through the final corner here. Of course, a driver that we see in F2 for the last couple of seasons. He's always in and around the midfield, hooked himself up into the top 10 quite often. So it's a big season for him to try and just elevate that a little bit more. He's one of those drivers that if he could find maybe a 10th around most circuits, and if he can find maybe a little bit more confidence heading into the race, he's certainly one of your top dogs when it comes to the F2 grid. But of course, he just needs to find that little bit more to race to elevate himself forward as we just watch him head his way through Sector 2 now. He was up slightly in Sector 1, but Sector 2 is kind of the meaty part of the lap, isn't it?
It really, really is. And yes, Imtiaz, I was speaking with him earlier on, and he was mentioning about, how difficult the F2 level really, really is. And as you mentioned, how he needs to find that extra step up, but the critical words were, it is nothing that he can't do. He is absolutely of the belief, and we all know that he can do it as well, that he can fight right at the top and rise to the top of F2 in a similar way that he did in Season 38 in F3. Okay, this is Hietala now, wrapping up this lap as he makes his way over the line and goes to the top. A driver who we know can be at the top in F2 qualifying is there once again. It's a 1 minute 10.8, and Race Imtiaz goes to 7th.
Next we had the Ferraris. First it'll be Sergio Sobrino. Can he return to the top of the times? Up to the line? No. Stays in 3rd place. We've got Conrad Bohm as well, looking to try and set another time as Pasquale Ranielli went quickest there for Aston Martin. A great lap from him. It's Francesco Largo who goes even quicker into the 10.7s now here with the V-Carb driver. A great lap by him to go up into that provisional pole spot. Leo Lund stays in, moves up to 8th place from 13th. A little bit further down, who else do we left to have time? We've got both of the Mercedes. First it's Stephen Vasso. He goes up into P6, of course, one of our reserves for this season. Then we have the other Mercedes of Scott Holmes, who goes 15th, and Tamas Kokeni, who heads up to the line and stays in 15th place. As who was that improving? That's Gabor Chontos, I believe, up to P6 in the Haas team. Then we have one more of the Williams cars to cross the line, and they will be starting a lap. So I think that's all of our laps done here for the second runs in qualifying. And one thing I don't forget, Omi, is the pain of trying to remember who to click on to, who's on a lap, who's not on a lap, and just trying to figure out where you are with people, because that was such a confusing 10 seconds there.
It really, really is, and they all come at you very, very quickly indeed, as well. So it's not the easiest thing. Luckily, I'm just letting you do all of it, as Gabriel Quintino now goes to the front of the field, a man who took victory here last season on the road, and then was denied in the steward's room, as you wished. As well,
Yes.
Mr. Richards. He is now at the front of the field, looking to get back on there today.
Make it clear, I did not bribe anybody to give Gabriel a penalty. Somehow it just worked in my favour that when I said I hope he gets a penalty, he got one. Dropped to second in that one. And that, of course, that was the last time I was in a PSGL comms box as well, I think, in F2. And I'm back here again at Spain, and he's back on the top of qualifying. So we'll have to see if I end up jinxing him again. I might not celebrate when he wins this time, just so he has that extra stroke of luck. As I think that was Nelson Alves there, jumping up to third place. So we'll see if Tope is on a lap at the moment. He's up in sector 1. Is he up in sector 2? I couldn't see because it didn't show me. So we'll have to see what Tope can do here. 13th currently, and he was up in the top 5 earlier on. It shows how quick the track ramps up to the line, goes into the top 7. It's a 1:10.827. So top 5 as it stands is Gabriel Quintino, Francesco Largo, Nelson Alves, Pasquale Ranieri, and Tony Hietala. Big surprise to me is Leo Lund down in 13th. I would have expected a lot more from him. Same for Gabor Chontos. I would have expected to see him up in the top 5. I think Larry Tolkien as well could be higher than 11th. And then, of course, looking through some of our reserves, we've got Alexander Dimas, who got promoted to full-time. He's 18th. Scott Holmes is 17th after winning the F4 title last season. That was a brilliant race for me to call in Abu Dhabi. And who else is a reserve? We've got Jensen Rosen, who's just joined from F3 as well, making his first appearance in F2. Stephen Vasso as well, one of our other reserves. And then I think that's it. So I presume, Omi, with the fact we've only got 4 reserves, we'll probably end up getting an F3 driver promoted into F2 reserve, I'd imagine. And with the way the seasons normally go, by the time we get to halfway through, you're probably going to be in every race, aren't you, really?
Yeah, realistically, and over the last few seasons, that's exactly what we have seen. Drivers getting promoted from F3, if they're dominating F3 to such a level, they can find themselves with promotion to F2. It's what happened to Gabor, which, we described how he had a really, really struggling, situation when it came to races in Season 40. Season 40, when he gets demoted down to F2, he absolutely dominates it. Gets promoted back up to F2 and is brilliant at the back end of last season. So it's exactly like that. If you do get a driver in F3 who can just be above all constantly and consistently across the first few rounds, they need to get promoted up, and that's what we usually see.
Certainly, as we have most of our cars out on track, ready to begin the final laps of qualifying. Of course, at the moment, it's an SCI front row. It's Gabriel Quintino and Francesco Largo. That's our quickest at the moment on a 7.46 and a 7.60. But looking at the gaps between the whole field, I mean, that is insane. Isaac, ignoring him, you're looking at 2/10 between everybody in the field. The top 10 is separated by 103 tenths of a second. The top 5 is separated by just over half a tenth. I mean, this is one of those now where absolutely anybody can come through and take pole position here.
That's what we love, when it's absolutely wide open. You've got the F3 champion in the name of Francesco Largo, who is in contention. You've got Quintino, who's trying to get back up there. Alves, Ranieri and Hietala, you can never count out them. And you've got the Ferrari pair also trying to have one of their great days in F2 as well. There's so many contenders when it comes to this qualifying session. You're looking at one of them right now. This is Stefan Vasso making his way through the braking zone off what was turn 5, now through the little kink at 6, and then into 7 and 8 as he gets ready to climb up all the way to turn number 9.
Indeed, and of course some drivers are going for that double 8-lap strategy. Leo Lund lifted off before he even got into turn 1, unless it was maybe a mistake, or if he chose to do that on purpose. But at the moment, Stephen Vasso is up by a tenth of a second in Sector 2. That's good enough to put him up onto that front row, maybe even onto the top of qualifying. So we'll see here, what can Stephen Vasso do in that Mercedes through into the final corner, up to the line. What will it be for him? He goes into P3, a great lap by the Mercedes. Then we have one of the Ferraris. It's Conrad Bohm, who was up near the top earlier. He heads to the line. He goes up into P4, just ahead of Nelson Alves. who's making his way through Sector 1, just trying to find a few drivers on laps at the moment. As I think that was Larry Tulke finding improvements, as Gabriel Quintino goes quicker, but only by 2/1000 of a second. Largo goes even quicker than that. It's Francesco Largo looking to be on pole position here for VCarb, but there's still so many drivers who are on their qualifying laps, as we see Elliot Tomasetto 16th only. Tony Hietala looking to go higher. He stays in P7 for now, as we have one of the other VCarbs coming through. It's Jensen Rosen. He stays 13th. No higher for him. The same for Pasquale Ranieri. Then we have Sergio Sabrino. He goes onto the front row of the field. It's P2 for the Spanish driver at his home Grand Prix, as we see Larry Tolke jump up into the top 10 with the points 8.22. Tamas Kokeni stays 17th. No improvement for him. What about Nelson Alves? Can he go to the top? No, he stays in P6. Looking a little bit further down, there's going to be some drivers that are probably going to make a surprise here and move their way up the field. We got Tope now making his way through into that final sector through the final couple of corners. 10th at the moment, of course. Ahead of him we have Leo Lund, who goes into the top 10. Can Tope go quicker up to the line? He goes into the top 5. Gabel Chontos, where can he manage? He stays 12th. And then I think that might be it here, Romy.
It does appear to be the case. We're not seeing major improvements from anyone else at the moment, but just look at the margins as Dimas comes back into the pit lane. We already saw that Imtiaz was going quite slowly, and well, what a qualifying. Absolutely extraordinary stuff. You've got the top 9 separated by under a tenth, 85 thousandths to be precise, and that is fantastic. Crazy margins here for F2, and we've got the field absolutely close together. It is definitely going to be one season coming your way. And you know, we mentioned the name of Leo Lund as a possible championship contender. His race will start from P11. Tony Hietala, we thought that he could possibly be one of the rivals this season. P9. And it's the reigning F3 champion who ends up taking an F2 pole on his debut.
Now, isn't that a way to start off your F2 campaign? Pole on debut. It reminds me, well, I don't know if he did get pole on debut, but it reminds me a bit of an Angelo D'Ortenzio story, this does. You know, rose into F2, straight up at the top of the timings, and cruised away to victory. Now, we're not going to say that's going to be the case for Francesco Largo, but, of course, we'll have to see what he can do over the course of the 33-lap race at the Spanish Grand Prix. And now things get interesting, because you can be as quick as you want in the race, but you've got to have a decent strategy. So we'll have a quick discussion on that in a little while. But of course, it was Francesco Largo, your reigning F3 champion, on pole, ahead of Sergio Sabrino in second place for his home Grand Prix. It's Gabriel Quintino third, ahead of Steven Navasso and top 8. Then we had Conrad Bohm, Nelson Alves, Pasquale Ranieri, Tony Hietala, and Larry Talk in the top 10. Followed by Leo Lund, Gabel Chontos, Race Imtiaz, Jensen Rosen, Isaac Leet, Elliot Tomasetto, Tamas Kokeni, Scott Holmes and Alexander Dimas, your top 19 here heading into the race. So, I mean, now this is where, like I said before, strategy gets interesting. You look at it medium hard, hard to medium. If you go medium hard, you're pitting early because you've got no real chance of overtaking here. So you don't want to go for a stupid overcut. Hard to medium, of course, you can go for that overcut because you're going onto a softer compound of tyres. So this is going to be interesting to see what sort of strategies we get. But I think, you know, the alternate strategy, you're not going to see that happening for the top guys. I think that's more for those a little bit further down the field, or some of those that are a little bit more confident on pace. But, oh, mate, we're about to head our way under. I'll give you the lights out for this one as we head into a brand new season. But the one question before we head in, who's your race winner?
Well, there's so many drivers that could be the race winner. It's so unpredictable. But, you know, I love a good story. So I'm going to go with Largo to also win on debut. But Quintino winning as well would be quite a story at the same time, considering what happened last season. And anyone else getting up there would be absolutely brilliant too. So it is absolutely wide open in a way that we haven't seen for a while. You've had some great qualifying efforts, especially notably by drivers like Tony Hietala in the past few seasons, even before that Angelo D'Ortenzio. 7 poles in a row he was able to take. And now we're in a season where you've got nearly the top 10 all separated by a tenth. This is going to be incredible. 3, 4, 5 lights in Spain. And for the new season, it's race on. Largo leads us off the line and he's got the advantage down towards turn 1. Sabrino has got the position over Quintino, but it is going to be late stuff on the brakes for Sabrino trying to get in there. Will it open the door for Quintino, who's trying to use the momentum as we make our way through turn number 3? Conrad Bohm fights his way up to P4. It's Largo with the lead. Quintino still is running wheel to wheel with Sabrino, not wanting to give this one up as they make their way through turn number 4. Tope, the highest running hard runner at the moment, and it's Sabrino who is ahead of Quintino. That's your top 3, and a dive bomb move attempted further back by Alves, who's managing to fight his way past Ranieri.
Indeed, and they were still side by side for a moment, heading in towards turns 7 and 8. As we look further back there, some of the hard runners being overtaken early in this one as Isaac Leet is looking to get into the thick of things here, looking to go ahead of Tony Hietala, who went for that alternate strategy. Oh, dear me! And that's Tamashko Kenny already off the circuit, I think barely collided with the barrier, and now he's down in 19th and pretty much out of this one unless there's some sort of safety car intervention later on in the race. He's now 3.6 seconds back, behind everybody before we even get to the end of lap 1. So very, very not good for him as we make our way onto lap 2 of 33 now. Top 5, all very similar to what it was on lap 1. Of course, we saw a great chance from Gabriel Quintino to go around the outside of Sabrino, but couldn't quite get that one complete, as we do see as well Pasquale Ranieri closing in on the back of Nelson Alves and Leo Lund. A great start for him, from 11th to 7th already. And that's the type of starts that the young Swedish driver would need here if he wants to try and challenge later on in this race to go higher up the field, as we do see further back there Isaac Leet and Stephen Vasso looking to make respective moves ahead of the hard runners ahead of them.
Yeah, so wheel to wheel we go here between Scott Holmes and Imtiaz. Imtiaz has got a nose in there trying to get to the inside line. That can get very, very tight. Of course, you've got a difference in tyre compounds. Holmes is on the mediums, Imtiaz is on the hards as they make their way through. And further up the road, Leo Lund looking to gain another position, looking to try and get past Pasquale Ranieri. Now these two are on the same compound of tyres, and Leo Lund tried to be brave round the outside of turn number 10, but found out there wasn't the most grip out there, and it's Ranieri who stays ahead in P6.
Indeed, and it's such a hard place to make a move the outside of turn 10 because the grip just goes. You've got no grip. I think the angle of the corner also doesn't help, but it's such a difficult place to make a move, and it was a big risk there by Leo Lund to go for it, but I suppose he didn't lose time by doing so because he's still 3/10 back from Pasquale Ranieri as it stands, as we make our way through the first sector again on lap 3 of 33. I did notice earlier on that Conrad Bohm dropped back to around 8/10, so I'm not sure if there's some sort of a mistake for him, as Gabriel Quintino was closing in there on the back of Sergio Sabrino. But of course up front, Francesco Largo has got a nice comfortable lead at the moment, as here is Nelson Alves, who's looking for a bit of an opportunity to go ahead of Conrad Bohm. They're now side by side through and towards turn 7, and it's a boisterous move, and it's Nelson Alves up into the top 4, caught Conrad Bohm off guard, and now makes a place. We'll see what Pasquale Ranieri can do, because he'll also be catching up shortly on the back of the Ferrari.
Yeah, can he send it immediately? What about Leo Lund? He's getting interested as well in that McLaren car further in behind, and they're all already going for it in this early phase of the new season, season 42 for PCF2 here, and we are making our way out of the final few turns and about to tick our way through onto another lap. Lap 4 out of 33. Now who has got some of the battery to be deployed, and who's going to be trying to make some form of a move? It might be coming further back in the field. They're all just holding back this time through, as they now begin to get into a bit of a rhythm and prepare for the pit stop phase that will be coming. The drivers where we expect lap 9 to 10, if they are of course on that medium compound of tyre, or if they started on the hard, we'll be seeing them go a little bit more longer to about 18 to lap 21.
And Conrad Bohm is under so much pressure because already Pasquale Ranieri is trying to get the better of the Ferrari. It seems like he hasn't got the best race pace at the moment, has Conrad Bohm, because of course he got overtaken by Nelson Alves and needed the same place. It was a move on the cards for Pasquale Ranieri, who has to get a move done soon because he's got Leo Lund on his back as we head our way down towards turn 10 to the inside for Ranieri. He went for a move, he had to back out of that one in the Aston Martin. Let's see what he can do on the exit of turn 10. He's not quite got enough there to get alongside the Ferrari as it hits the back of Conrad through turn 12. So I'm not sure what's going on for Conrad, but it doesn't seem like he's got that ultimate pace that some of those around him have. And of course, Leo Lund will be hoping that Conrad can keep Pasquale Ranieri behind, because he wants to try and get the better of the Italian himself. As we go back down towards turn 1, and as it is no surprise to anybody, there's no overtakes in towards the first braking zone.
Yes, it's now just, well, really the eyes on Ranieri, because as you mentioned, the pace that we're seeing from Bohm, not ideal in this phase, meaning that if you are Ranieri, if you are Lund,
Omi. Omi's cut out, unfortunately, so hopefully we'll get Omi back with us soon. Oh. Oh, great. Well, my game was frozen and Omi's disappeared. Bear with us, guys. We'll be back in a moment. I'm going to bring us quickly. Oh, as my camera's froze. Brilliant. I'm going to bring us quickly back onto the pre-race info screen. Somehow, Omi's Wi-Fi died and my game crashed at the same time. I don't know how. And you've caught me sitting there with a penny in my mouth, which I'm going to quickly sort while we're here. But not ideal. We'll get back in as shortly as we can. And hopefully resume racing around this circuit, which has been brilliant until the game decided to crash. So,
hello.
Hello, Omi. Yeah, you are aware my game crashed at the same time. That.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but yes. So I'm just waiting for the F1 game to load up, and then we should be good to go again.
Fantastic. But yes, there's been issues across the board. We momentarily had a bit of a rough start to the F3 earlier on, but you know, just new season stuff. New season stuff taking place, everybody. It is kind of what we are used to expect. It's not always going to go our way as well, but yes, just getting the issues out of the way nice and early, I guess.
Indeed. So, while we get our way back in, we hopefully can see my virtual camera again, so you can see what's going on. But yes, we're having a lovely look at the Spain circuit because we can't see it yet, just in the game. But I'm loaded up. Let's see if I can join off somebody. Oh, I can. Perfect. At least I can actually join the lobby, and then we should make our way back in. So, we've missed a lap and a half, so guys, don't worry. It's not that catastrophic just yet. If it happens again, then you will make a fair point, but for now, should be good to go. So we're just joining the race session. But, as we saw, Romy, overtaking is difficult, so, you know, your strategy and pitting at the right time is so crucial around this circuit, isn't it?
Yeah, it really, really is. So important. The strategy around the circuit, as you bring up and mention, because it can really bowl to you a couple of positions, forward or backwards. It kind of can work both ways as well. So that's always so it's all about getting it right and hoping it does go in your direction, or you're looking at possibly not the best complete evening coming up as well for the drivers.
We've missed Jensen Rosen retire from the game, retire from the race in the pit lane and depart the game. So not good at all there for Jensen Rosen. I did see in the chat that he did have his wing broken by Stephen Vasso. So of course not going to be happy there at all is Jensen Rosen, and unfortunately has had to retire due to that one here on lap 8 of 33. So not the best start for the young British driver in his first race in F2. As of course we go back to the battle between Bohm, Ranieri and Leo Lund, who are all closing in on each other yet again lap after lap, but nobody is close enough here to make a move. So you're looking at, I'd say next lap, you've got some of your early pit stoppers coming in off of the mediums, and if they pit really early, if they know for a fact they can get the tyres to the end, they'll pit at the earliest opportunity. I mean, you're looking at, I think it was about 7/10 per lap on the undercut you can gain here. And considering you don't lose, considering you can't really overtake, you've got to be taking those sort of gaps when you can, really, haven't you?
Yeah, you really, really do. And you've got to be taking opportunity out of all of those as well.
Making our way through turn 2 here with Scott Holmes, who's made his way slightly up the field, up into 13th. And they did start down in the bottom 4, so great job by Scott to use some of that race pace to elevate himself forward here in this one. Of course, Isaac Leet up into the top 10 as well, temporarily for Alpine. Of course, his teammates being Elliot Tomasetto, who's unfortunately not had a good start. Then in 15th is Elliot, of course, F3 driver last season, moved up to F2 and just taking a little bit longer, it seems, getting adjusted compared to others. As here we go, Gabriel Quintino has lost DRS to Sergio Sobrino. Now, what has happened there? What mistake has Quintino made? Because this is sometimes a bit of a race ruiner when you lose that DRS. Of course, if he was to pit now as well, that would bring the gap between Nelson Alves and Sobrino up to 1.8. So, not good at all here for Gabriel Quintino to lose out to the DRS here, heading on to lap 9 out of 33, now lap 10 of 33, and it's still Largo and Sobrino that lead the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I might need your virtual camera again. I think the game while it closed, unfortunately, eliminated it on Discord as well.
There's Nelson Alves now has made a move ahead of Gabriel Quintino. Up into third now is the Williams driver. Is the virtual camera working, Omi?
I think you need to on your camera on Discord, and then it might.
Could be working now.
Yeah, there we go.
There we
Fantastic. Oh,
We're
great
back.
stuff.
At least you can see the game now. I was thinking, why was Omi not talking much? Yeah, because he couldn't see anything.
Yes, absolutely. Let you guys listen all to Nathan for a little bit longer. But yes, I'm back now. Absolutely back. Let's hope we can absolutely get all the way till the end in absolutely brilliant fashion. Lap 10 out of 33.
Indeed, still about a third of the way, well, heading on to the third of the way through lap here on lap 11, as it will be, of course, Francesco Largo who leads us over the line. As we do have early pit stoppers, we did say we're going to have pit stoppers early on. Lap 10 now for Ranieri and Stephen Vasso. They're onto a set of the hard tyres, I presume, until the end of this race, and they've gone for that early undercut to make that work. Because we know the undercut in most occasions works, at least for the, I'll take 70% of the race, but then of course sometimes you get to the dying 5 laps and really can harm you. So we'll have to see what Ranieri and Vasso can do as they make their way out of the pit lane and back down towards turn 1, and we'll just see what their gap is now, and we'll have a look at the end of lap 11. So it's 13.1 between Ranieri and Kokeni, who has done a great job, I should say, Omi, back in the DRS.
Yeah, he has indeed. As you mentioned, he's been able to get back in there and back in contention as well.
I might have given Pasquale Ranieri a penalty because I cut to him and he cut the track limit line and the pit exit line, and apparently that's a penalty. I wasn't sure if it was or not, so I've I've accidentally reported Pasquale now because they're all going to be spamming it in the report channel later on.
Yeah, and he was quite happy about you coming back.
Yes,
don't know
he was.
if
He's not going to hate me now.
after today. Yes. Don't think he'll be liking you any longer after what has just happened. Into the pit lane comes Alves and Londo on this lap as well. But yes, that'll be something that I'm sure everyone else will get to work on against Pasquale Ranieri, sadly.
Well, lesson learned, guys. Don't go to the pit lane and cut the exit line because I'll end up catching you. I'm not going to do the same to anyone else, though. I'm not going to be that mean. Maybe some of those who pit a bit later on have got nothing else to look at. But we'll leave Leo Lund and Nelson Alves to their own devices as we continue our way on. Here's Top A in P5 and actually has damage on that front wing.
Yes.
So that's not good at all, especially considering he's on the alternate strategy. So he's really harmed, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not ideal at all to have damage anyway, but then considering you are on that alternative strategy, and you're fighting your way through longer in this stint of the race, it is definitely not what you want. So not the return back that Tope would have wanted one bit, but now we see into the pit lane come our top two. Largo, who's had control of this race, and Sabrino coming. Quintino does as well. Bohm, of course, has to go on another lap on that medium compound of tyres, so he's going, he'll hopefully be in this time through, and then of course it'll be Tope who will be left in the net lead. Isaac Leet along with Scott Holmes, Elia Tomasetto and Alexander Dimas we should be expecting to come in soon as well.
Well, where does Nelson Alves come out compared to everybody else in that leading train? So he's got ahead of Gabriel Quintino, but not ahead of Sergio Sabrino, and is actually still 1.2 seconds back from the Ferrari and then the V-Carb ahead of him. So they've kind of filed out pretty much where they were before. Just Gabriel Quintino has lost out to Pasquale Ranieri. So I think that shows here that you've got to be pitting as soon as possible, because you're not going to gain anything by pitting earlier. Nelson's gained literally nothing by pitting a lap earlier than Sabrino and Largo. I thought there was a decent undercut around here, but I guess not. Or at least not for one lap. So we'll have to see the likes of Leet and Holmes, Bohm in very shortly, I think, if they don't want to lose too much time and position. But then, of course, the thing we have to keep an eye on is looking around lap 20-ish. Tope, Hitala, Tolki, Race Imtiaz, Gabel Chantos, Kokone, who are all going to go in off of the hard onto a medium. Now, they're going to be scary flying through that field, because they are going to be absolutely flying on those medium tyres.
Yes, as well. So we now make our way through the end of the lap. Some of the drivers, then most of them all continuing on this lap. Everyone, in fact, continuing on as they make their way through. You're currently looking now at Scott Holmes, who finds himself P6 on the road, but as we mentioned, still has to come in and make that pit stop, which he'll be doing soon. So this race, you'll get different races coming your way, basically drivers in different stints of their race, so you'll see different races clashing in the middle, and hopefully it'll lead to some entertainment and some excitement near to the end of the race, as the checkered flag will come on lap number 33. Still quite the distance to go, and still a lot of racing to be had before that though.
Yes, indeed. Nearly halfway through. That'll be around lap 16 and a half. We'll hit the halfway point of the Spanish Grand Prix. Of course, the first round of season 42, and so far it's proven to be a great race. Of course, some of your big favourites aren't where we expect to see them to be. I mean, Francesco Largo, F3 champion from last season, now sits at the top and has been so comfortable up at the top all race long. I mean, it's looking like one of those where it's a mistake for him to drop it more than anything. I don't think Sabrino's really going to have much of a chance to get past V-Carb, as Scott Holmes and Elliot Tomasetto have jumped into the pit lane onto brand new hard tyres as we head on to lap 15 of 33. We'll see whereabouts they come out compared to everybody else. So behind Stephen and Vasso, Scott Holmes will be a decent few seconds behind, won't he, in 17th. So not ideal there for Scott Holmes. He's dropped 2 seconds back. I mean, he was nowhere near them in the train anyway, but still he's a little bit further away, and his first points are looking rather unlikely here in F2. Is looking further ahead here, and Alexander Dimas and Tamas Kokeni, the two teammates in Sauber, of course, were only united together around 4 hours ago, and now heading their way down to turn 10, possibly having a bit of a battle here, because Tamas Kokeni, I think, has got a lot more pace now than the medium runner of Alexander Dimas. As they head through turns 11 and 12, and just, of course, Kokeni just stuck behind. You can't make any moves through this section of the track. You've got to wait down to turn 1, as we do see Isaac Leet as well in, and so is Alexander Dimas. So the only car that stays out on mediums is Conrad Bohm.
Yep. The Ferrari man goes on another lap as the rest of them come down towards the first turn, and they continue to make their way by and now settle in to this phase of the race. The drivers will be assessing along with the engineers in what position they find themselves and what needs to be done in this space. Of course, there's not a lot you can do on this game. You do have to basically send the car in and try and make some overtakes basically now at this phase, and hope it all plays out to your advantage. Not the easiest thing as well, easier said than done. So we'll see how they all get on out there. But yeah, now the drivers will start realising which positions they find themselves in and how this race possibly could go, barring any interruptions, all the way until the end. You are taking a look at the two Aston Martins close together on the circuit, Ranieri and Quintino, who are both together right now as they make their way out of turn number 9 and head into a DRS zone as well down towards 10.
As Conrad Bone finally heads his way into the pit lane. That's 16 of 33 for the medium runner in the Ferrari. He'll drop below this front running train. I think he might even go below most of the runners who just pitted onto hard, just because of how much longer he's gone on those worn medium tyres. So we'll see whereabouts Conrad Bone comes out to everybody else. I'm sure he'll be at the back of this train pretty much, ahead of Dimas, but probably behind the bunch of the others as he makes his way out of track. Never mind, this has really worked for Conrad Bone because he dropped back into P12 here. So I didn't expect him to make that work because he was going a lot longer than everybody else. He's dropped back into P7 here, has Bone. So this is going really good for him.
It really is. That has worked out quite nicely indeed. Now you can try and hopefully go on the attack to some degree and see what he can do, because yes, that has worked out decently. Definitely better than what most people would have thought at this phase. So we'll see what he can do in the next couple of laps. We'll definitely be tracking his progress as he will try and get past those Aston Martins. Those are going to be the ones who will be first up out there on the circuit. We go on board with Bone, who picked up a victory at the end of last season. It was where he was able to get himself to the top step.
Is you okay?
My Wi-Fi does not
cut out
momentarily.
You cut out again. Hopefully
I think we're back.
You back?
Yes.
What you've done at the moment though is you've been gone again, and somehow it killed my PC last time, so please don't put your Wi-Fi out again.
Yes, hopefully, because yeah, it seems to have extra powers for some reason as well. All the way down to Birmingham for some reason. I'm unsure why.
Down to Birmingham? Aren't you below me already? Up to Birmingham, isn't it? I think Birmingham is lower than London.
Probably.
As Jensen Rosen showing his anger in chats. I'd be careful what you say, Jensen. I don't want you to get in trouble. Obviously very angry about the front wing situation with Stephen Vassar, of course. Those two, I remember, had a bit of a rivalry back in, I think it was WOR over in Tier 4, because I was engineering Jensen for a bit of time there, and as I'll continue to say, I did get a 100% podium streak with him when I was engineering him for 3 races. But yes, him and Stephen Vassar were the best of friends then, so it seems that's continued on into PSGL PCFT. But we shortly head on to lap 20 of 33 here in this race around Spain, and at the moment no moves have happened whatsoever really in those fights for the top 10 that have pitted. Of course, Conrad Bone is on those newer tyres. He's gaining in on the back of Gabriel Quintino, but it won't be easy to pass. It's so difficult to make moves around here.
It really, really is. We've been mentioning it all day as well leading up to this race. It is what we basically already knew what was going to happen, and that's why we put huge emphasis when it came to qualifying, because we knew how important that was going to be in deciding how your race is going to go, as we make our way on board with Conrad Bone as he continues to attack Gabriel Quintino and just looks to try and fight his way through on one car at least, even ever since he has been out on the circuit with his fresher rubber, but proving to be quite a challenge at the moment.
I mean, you can see he's quicker because he's braking later, he's carrying more through the corners, but he just can't get alongside and go ahead. As now the hard runners start to peel into the pit lane. Tony Hirtala's the first to go. Then we have Lauren Tolke, Gabor Chontos and Thomas Kokeni, who all make their way into the pit lane. So the only two that stay out are Tope and Ray Cynthia, so they go another lap in this race. Of course, Tope would have been by choice, but Ray Cynthia's kind of had to stay out another lap because Tony Hirtala went into the pit lane in the Red Bull. So this will now make it interesting. Whereabouts Tony will feed into this one. He's going to drop out to 14th. He's ahead of Alexander Dimas. Now, how far is he back from Elliot Tomasetto? 2.3 seconds. Now, that's not bad at all. He's got a very big chance of getting some decent points here if he can put the pace down nice and early.
Yeah, he's definitely got that opportunity, doesn't he? As well. It's currently how this race is running at the moment as we continue to navigate our way back over to this scrap we go. Definitely looking like a scrap that could be happening. This is Scott Holmes and Stefan Vasso. So Vasso making his way by, but with his Mercedes teammate right directly in behind at the moment in this game at the moment. So it's definitely close running, but running which is seeing Holmes not being able to fight his way through. Into the pit lane we go at the front of the field with Tope and Imtiaz as they come in. The last two drivers who hadn't made a pit stop now do come in to make their stop. And it means Francesco Largo's net lead turns into the official lead as he comes over the line.
Indeed, as we make our way back down towards turn 1, and of course it is Largo in the lead now ahead of Sabrino and Alves. The top 3, that's a send from Conrad Boehm on the back of Gabriel Quintino and had to back out. There was tyre smoke as he headed into turn 1 and nearly took out the back of the Aston Martin into that first braking zone. And of course, with the overtaking being that hard on track, you've got to go for those ballsy moves. As we see Elliot Tomasetto looking to go ahead of Isaac Cleat. It's an easy move up the inside for Tomasetto. And he takes a top 10 spot. Leet trying to fight back, but Elliot Tomasetto covers that one as they make their way through into turn 5. And a great move to put the Alpine into the top 10. Isaac Leet there was closing in to go for the send again, but he couldn't quite do so. Now let's see what Conrad Boehm can do, because he's all over the back once again as Gabriel Quintino, who of course qualified up in the top 3, under pressure from possibly dropping down to P6 here, as that's a bit of a slide from Conrad Boehm on the rears heading in towards turn 10. And then look already, Tony Hietala is on the back of Isaac Leet.
Yeah, he's going to be surely through by the time they get down into turn number 1, because he's going to have so much drive off the corner, then will surely sacrifice some of the battery to make sure that he is ahead. Has got the grip slightly wide even for Leet, and Hietala will draw alongside and will make one of many moves he hopes as we make our way down into the first turn. Not even fought by Isaac Cleat at the moment. He knows that Hietala is not really his race at this moment in time, and Hietala will continue his attacking next on Elia Tomasetto.
Indeed, it's a move up the inside for the Red Bull driver trying to go ahead of the Alpine, who just took a top 10 spot. It's now taken away from him as the Red Bull goes and makes a second move in 5 corners, and Hietala is on the charge. Of course, he qualified 9th, so anything better than 9th is a win, even though we went for that alternate strategy. So we'll have to see what Hietala can do here. He's on the back of Scott Holmes now, heading up towards turn 9 at Kamsa, down to turn 10. He's lost a tad bit of time there, but of course he'll be able to get him over, I'd imagine, down towards turn number 1. So it's crunch time now for Hietala as Larry Talkie goes ahead of Isaac Cleat, and soon to follow him will be Gabel Chontas and Tope, all making their way through. But this is a big opportunity now for Tony Hietala to probably go for a top 5. No, maybe top 7 or top 6 here. I don't know if you go for a top 5. It just depends if he can make, keep making those moves before his tyres drop off a little bit.
Yep, another move then surely incoming. It will definitely have to be somewhat into the braking zone. Not quite into the first turn, but the grip will belong to Hietala through the long turn number 3, and then the road will open up down towards 4, and he'll have to pick a side. Will it be left? Will it be right? The inside is covered there by Scott Holmes. Hietala has to brave it the long way round, and he'll have the traction of the corner when it turns into a traction race, and it'll be easy. But look at this, it's getting super tyres. Gabel sending it up the inside. Elia Tomasetto is getting past Talkie as well. All happening out here on the circuit, as it all happens in F2 after a bit of calmness, and they're all over the road as we make our way 3 wide into the braking zone momentarily. And it is Elia Tomasetto P10, then Larry Talkie, then Gabel, as off the road goes Scott Holmes, who has a trip through the gravel.
Indeed, yeah, Scott Holmes had to avoid a turn on, otherwise I think there would have been even more contact between those guys making their way through there. Dear me, that was interesting. As there, Gabel Chontos fighting with Larry Sulky. Of course, these two are on the same strategy, so this would be a great move for Gabel Chontos to go ahead of Larry Sulky as we make our way back down towards turn number 1. Of course, Tope's there as well. I still think with that damaged front wing, it's not harmed him that much, has it, for the Williams as we head into turn 1. No moves being made this time around. A slight lock there from Talkie, but has the gap already to keep ahead of Gabel Chontos as they make their way through turn number 2 and 3. You can see here Tope's all onto the back of the Haas driver. They head into the braking zone, but no move through there as Tony Hietala in ninth, looking to close in on the back of Stephen Vasso as he goes up the inside into turn 5 to send Red Bull v Mercedes at turn 5. We've seen that before, and this time it was a lot cleaner for Tony Hietala up another spot, and there gets past where he qualified. So any position here for Hietala is a bonus.
It really, really is. It has all worked out quite nicely, and he's still got a little bit more overtaking to do. He'll hope as we head into the braking zone. Some attempted moves going on, some drivers looking for opportunities to try and get through. Larry Tulke is one of them, and Tulke fights his way up to 10th position on the road. Hietala is finding himself now up to Leo Lund, so the two rivals are about to go for it as well from last season. P7 and P8 at the moment for them as we check over the line for another lap.
Indeed, on to lap 25 of 33 now, 8 to go around Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. So we head in towards turn number 1, and Tulke all over the back now with Stephen Vasso. Of course, it was a move for Tony down into turn 5. We'll see whereabouts Larry looks to make this one ahead of Stephen Vasso as we head into turn 4. He's not quite close enough through there to go for a move, so it could be down to turn 5. If not, he'll have to try and find it down to turn 10. He goes to the outside as Larry, as it's a defence to the inside for Vasso. So head out turn 5, though. It was a good exit. And I think that's what, if you can compromise your entry and get a good exit, that's what's going to stop those like Larry getting through, because they can never compete with you on an exit. Whereas if you just cover the inside line, it's so hard, even with better tyres, to make a move on the outside. So difficult.
Difficult as well. Lund parks it in the middle, and there is no chance for Hietala to get by, but his chance, I'm sure, will be coming very, very soon. Talking about chances, Imtiaz was able to fight his way past Tope, so that was for P13. We're understandably focusing on this battle where it is not that much of a gap between Lund and Hietala, but Hietala had to kind of back out of it with how close he was running to the back of that McLaren car as they made their way out of the final corner.
Indeed, it's back down towards turn 1 again for most of our drivers. Larry Tulke still on the back of Stephen Vasso, and we can see as well Gabor Johnson has dropped behind Elliot Tomasetto. Not sure what's happened there to Gabor, but he's lost out of place as he's trying to go for it back again. Not close enough this time around, but Tony, further ahead, is on the outside of Leo Lund. Of course, these two came together multiple times last season. It's all you can see there, a slight squeeze from Leo Lund, and no move through for Tony Hietala, as we do see Larry Tulke up the inside. It's on the outside now through turn 8, and he still can't get ahead of Stephen Vasso. And Elliot Tomasetto, another place made on the worst tyres, has got ahead of both Tulke and Jontos here.
Yeah, absolutely. So that has just been something that has taken place in that battle. It's 7/10 now between Lund and Hietala, by the way, so the gap just extending through that final sector. There's now we're getting to that phase of the race where the drivers are beginning to try their best to make some overtakes as well, even with how difficult it is. So there's quite a lot going on, and there's quite a lot to keep an eye on. You never know where the overtaking could be taking place and where it could be coming from on what specific lap. But once again, no changes nearer to the front of the field. Now we look to the outside, and very nearly big contact there as Tope was up against Kokeni, who goes over the road, momentarily airborne as he rejoins, and now is going to have a bit of a drag race between himself and Isaac Leach down towards turn 4. Isaac Leach has got the inside line, but that was very close to a bit more of a bigger accident there, but they've got away with it. And it is Kokeni, P16, and Dimas, his teammate, directly in behind. But as I say that, they've just got past Leach in terms of Kokeni's got past, and now Dimas is going to try and attack.
I mean, that was way too late on the brakes. He had such an odd angle into the corner. He just hit the back of the Williams and luckily avoided that without any sort of damage on the car. As you can see there, Tony Hietala hit at the back of Leo Lund, through in towards turn 10. Of course, and Tony will be angry, but just because of the sort of treatment he got from Leo Lund on the exit at turn 5, he got ushered out onto the grass. And, that just shows the precedent. Leo Lund is not here to mess around. He's here to defend his spot as we head back down towards turn 1, and this is a big opportunity, probably the best, for Tony to close in down towards turn 1. But out of all of that, because of how difficult it is to overtake, he actually gained 0 time down that whole straight, even though he was 2/10 back from Leo Lund. And it just shows how hard it is to make moves. He's probably still on tyres that are stronger, but he can't gain anything on the straights here on the back of Leo Lund. So we'll have to see what he can do, maybe down towards turn 5. But you know, with 5 laps running out, you're really starting to lose time in terms of, you know, having time to push forward here and go for a top 5. I said earlier on, maybe a top 6 or 7, but he might even be looking P8 here if Leo Lund plays this one well.
Yeah, it's all about what can Leo Lund do. Can he continue putting that car in the right places? Because realistically on this game, you're not going to get such an opportunity where it will be an easy slam dunk overtake. So if Leo Lund can place it in the right places, then, you know, there's every bit of a chance that he could find himself finishing in P7 and Tony Hitala P8 by the time the checkered flag comes as well. So now we make our way through the last few couple of corners, and once again you can see the gap is under 0.2 of a second. Let's jump on board actually with Tony Hitala, but again just not so much, just not enough, barely anything as well. So it means that he's stuck in behind, and that's why you're seeing so many of the overtakes at different parts of the circuit. But just as I say that, Elia Tomasetto is fighting his way through on the inside line, and he's managed to get past Stefan Vasso, and now Larry Tulke in the McLaren is directly there to try and get through. It shouldn't be too much of a contest. You've got 18 lap mediums, 18 lap hards versus 9 lap mediums, and you've also got Gabble in there trying to fight at the same time.
Indeed, and this one still continues on down towards turn 5. Tulke with a send up the inside of Stephen Vasso as they head their way through, and it's a move made. It's going to be side by side temporarily, but it is P10 now for Larry Tulke up into the points in that McLaren. Of course, Gabor Chontos as well is looking to try and go ahead of Stephen Vasso too. And it's one of those sometimes once you want to, you know, once you're on that strategy that isn't quite the optimal one, you know, for where you are on track. Once one goes through on you, they all start to make moves on you, as we do see Tope and Race Imtiaz having a bit of a squabble as well through in towards turn 10 and 11, and Tope was looking for the move, just couldn't quite get ahead though of Race Imtiaz, as we now head on to lap 30 of 33. And like we saw earlier on, Sabrino's never really been close enough to make a move here on Largo, unless it's a late late move to the inside for Sergio Sabrino, who looks to go for the lead of the race. They get stuck together through turns 1 and 2, up over the blue curb for Largo, drops down to second place, and as I said, there's no move through for Sabrino. He goes for a late lunge to the inside and now takes the lead of the Grand Prix on lap 30 of 33. It's now Sergio Sabrino's to potentially lose, but of course their little battle there has brought Nelson Alves back into this one.
Well, it is all happening. You had the rest of the field keeping us entertained throughout the heavy part of this race, but now it's all about the leaders. You've got Largo looking to try and win on F2 debut after becoming the F3 champion in a dramatic finale that we had at Yas Marina a couple of weeks ago. Now he finds himself in F2. He's already taken a pole position. He did that earlier on, and now
he's made the move. I think
he's
Sabrina let him through.
finding his way.
Yeah, I think Sabrina let him through there.
I think so as well. I think he's let him through, and that's why we've seen the switch in position come in. So now it's back over to Largo trying to defend and Sabrino trying to attack. He's done that tactically because now he can come charging back with the DRS open, and he's going to fight his way through back into the lead. But critically, Nelson Alves is fighting his way through into second place, or at least attempting to, and very nearly contact. Largo just about hanging on to the car, but he's going to drop off the podium as Ranieri goes to P3.
And there we can see Conrad Bone looking to make a move ahead of Gabriel Quintana. Well, more Gabriel looking to go ahead of Conrad Bone through in towards turn 4, and Bone's into the top 5. Gabriel Quintana down to P6. Such a poor camera angle heading down there, as that's contact, as I think Gabby went for the move again. Either that or it was a big lock-up on the rear there for Conrad Bone. But things have certainly changed. Largo, who's looking so comfortable from qualifying all through to lap 30. Of course, that little bit of a squabble with Sergio Sabrino has ended him down in P4, as now it's Alves in second and Pasquale Ranieri who reigns off the top 3 as it currently stands. So it really is now Sergio's to lose, because he's got a nice healthy gap ahead of Alves. We head on to the penultimate lap of the race, on to lap 32 of 33, and this could get interesting if Alves has something to give over these final couple of laps. But I think even though Sabrino spent half the race behind Largo, he's looked so strong, hasn't he, up at the front?
He really, really has. So into the final stages of the race we now go. Imtiaz getting his way past Vasso further back. P12 now for the Red Bull driver. Here he is, and he was easily able to get through as well, and there was nothing Vassar could do to fight back due to the tyres that he's got, and Tope will surely be making a simple overtake, or at least that is what he'll hope through as well very, very shortly. That is just outside the points at the moment, and Tope has been able to make the move with the inside line, and an easy pass up to 13th, and surely following through as well is going to be Kokeni, who's been already very close to contact, getting even closer right now as Rasso, a sitting duck, and Late also able to take the position. Back over to the front of the field we go, as we are about to enter the 33rd and final lap of the race.
Right, here we go. It's Sabrino and Alves fighting it out for that P1 spot. The gap's 6/10 as they head their way through out of turn 14, but I don't know if it'll be enough here for Alves to get the move done. The gap's coming down, but I don't think it'll be enough for him to go for a lunge unless it's a really late lunge to the inside here for Alves. Into turn 1 we go, and he's too far back. 2.5 tenths is the gap through the first couple of corners. Alves can't make the move here. He's got to go for a late move down towards turn 10 potentially, as we do see as well Ranieri holding off from Largo.
Yep, so that's a battle that is going on. We join and we cut to it right now live, and Largo will be absolutely fuming with the last few minutes. He had the control of this entire day really as well until that moment took place, and now instead he's just having to try and defend for P4, not even on the podium, and that is going to be disappointing, but he'll fight back. He's shown his brilliant pace today, and here is Tony Atala still trying to get past Leo Lund, who is standing in the way. But here's our leaders, and we've only got a couple of corners to go until Sabrino can come across the line to win.
Indeed, and what a victory this will be for Sergio Sabrino. Taking a win is something, but around your home track makes it even more sweeter for Sabrino, who will also be looking to take the lead of the standings heading into round 2 of season 42. Through the final corner, around his home circuit, it's Sergio Sabrino that wins here in Spain to open up the season. It's second for Nelson Alves and third for Pasquale Ranieri. And Francesco Largo, who had such a good race, was running at the front all the way through as someone barrel rolls up at the start-finish line. Largo, who had such a good run, unfortunately drops down to P5, and it's like, I mean, how do you kind of compose yourself after that? I mean, I'd be saying all the words under the sun if that happened to me. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Yeah, and you know, that's exactly what will be happening to him. Like, to have control, and it's, you know, you get a lot of situations where drivers find themselves in that type of situation. But when you consider the context of how he'd basically had control of the entire thing, you usually see a switch for even one lap. But no, none of that until we had that one switch, and then of course the position was given back. Then they fought it into turn number 1, and Alves got in the mix as well. And then it all went backwards from that moment. And yes, that one will hurt, but I can't wait for him to have his day in F2 because, you know, he showed the pace in the qualifying. We were like, okay, can you do that in the race? And, you know, for the majority of the race, he showed exactly that.
Right, so we can't see the results. Brilliant. Oh, dear me, that didn't work.
Extraordinary.
Right, but there we have it. What a race that was. Of course, it was Sabrino that took the win ahead of Alves, and third was Pasquale Ranieri. So we're going to pop ourselves over to the interview screen and hope that some of the top 3 come in. I know that Sergio's English isn't the best, so I don't know if we'll get him in, but could get a word from the other 2. So we'll just throw a quick message in there to see if anybody bothers listening to me. Pasquale as well. There we are. We'll see if anybody joins in, but I mean, I think given the fact that nobody could overtake in that race, Omi, I think we got quite a delight for the first race, considering the conditions there.
Yeah, and you know, you're going to have some of these races that will be in this way, and then you'll have a race like we had in Mexico, where we couldn't believe what we were seeing and there was so much carnage, and it really felt like a PCF2 race back on F1 2024. You will have those days, and you know, we're heading to some chaotic circuits as well across this season, ones that we haven't seen on this game cycle so far, which is why we're having to have them here in the final season. So, you know, you're going to get quite a lot across this season, so make sure you join us across the next couple of rounds and all the way through this season.
And Pasquale said yes to an interview, but I can't see him in the interview room, so We're going to have to wait for him to pop his way in. But of course, Sabrino, I think he did this a couple seasons ago. I can't remember when it was. It might have been even before, I kind of left F2. But there was one season where I think he won the first round, or got second, was right up there at the start of the championship. So, that happening again for him, surely can give him a bit of confidence, because he looked so quick as well. It wasn't like he was lucky to be in the lead. He was quick all the way through. He had a really good qualifying session. And then, of course, things, I suppose, did help him a little bit towards the end with the situation with Francesco Largo. But, I mean, the stewards will get involved, I think, but whether it'll be penalty for any of them, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on it, and we'll see what they say. And of course, we'll bring you that. We'll bring you that in a week's time as well, in terms of all of the everything that we did end up receiving. Which, we've had lots of F2 races over the last 2 seasons, which have been decided in the stewards room. So I'm sure everyone is all used to it by now, that everything can pretty much change, and the results are absolutely provisional, and they can change by the time we speak to you in a week's time.
Indeed, and looking in the waiting room, it seems that in F4, Bennett Hayder and Oliver not got podiums, because they're waiting to jump in to speak with Miss Sky and Nathan Tain. Yes, Pasquale has taken his time, so we'll continue talking for a little bit, and if not, we'll end it off. But of course, quick look at the calendar, Omi, for the season. We've got one race out the way, Spain, really interesting race. Then we have, never mind, we've got Nelson. We'll drag him.
Interrupt that.
We'll drag him in. Nelson, welcome in. You joined us at the perfect time, because we were just about to look at the calendar. But welcome in, Nelson. Great race. P2 in the end for that one. I mean, what do you make of the Grand Prix yourself?
Good evening, everyone. I mean, I think it's a positive start to the season. Qualifying wasn't as I expected. I mean, not that I was expecting much, but I had more pace than that, so I started P7. And the race, the start was very good. Managed to make places, managed to make a good overtake on Conrad, and the pit lap was just about perfect to make an undercut on Quintino, who put me net P3 for the whole second stint. And then I took advantage of that. I don't really know what happened yet, what was Sergio's idea, to be fair, but with that kind of incident with Francesco and those DRS games, I capitalized on that, managed to overtake Francesco in BP2, and then my tires were too old to try and attack Sergio, so that's the only negative about today.
Certainly, and of course, obviously we know it's only round 1, but you do sit second as it stands in the standings. I mean, you're always up and around that top 5. I think you had a P4 a few seasons back. So, having such a strong start here, probably one of your best starts. What are you kind of hoping for this season? Just, looking at everybody else's pace around you, do you think this was a bit of a one-off, or do you think you can constantly be getting podiums week in, week out?
I certainly think that I have what it takes to win the title. I just need to be up to the top and be consistent through the whole season, because last season I was kind of close to the top of the championship, and I had like 3 or 4 races with a total of 0 points. So I need to make sure that doesn't happen again this season. And yeah, definitely my goal here is to win the title. Otherwise, I won't be racing.
Of course. And next week we head off for a track which I'm sure you're very, very, very excited for. Baku. I mean, what do you make of that one? Because that's it's an interesting track, isn't it?
I mean, looking at it, I don't like it, but if I end up being quick at it, I'll say I like it. I don't know, we'll see. I have no clue what to expect. I'll give my best through the week, and hopefully another podium or a win will be good.
Indeed. Well, Nelson, thanks for joining in. Great to have you in here for a quick interview, and well done on the P2. We'll see you hopefully next time.
Thank you, mate, and see you.
Bye-bye. Right, there we go, mate. No Pasquale, otherwise you could have had a chat with him, but he said yes, and I think has forgot to join the interview room. So I think, we're going to look at wrapping things up here as we come to the end of this, and my camera's still not working. So, yes, you're going to have a voice, but no face.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Just me on camera. Oh, it came on for a second, it looked like. And then it decided to go back off as well. But yeah, sounds like Ranieri doesn't really want to come in and talk to us. Probably someone informed him of what you did earlier on.
Yeah, probably.
As well. I mean, Ranieri, don't worry, I'll be speaking to you. It's fine if you wanted to come in, but no. Yeah. We're off to Baku. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be what Baku usually is. So it will definitely be a bit of a step into the unknown. And if we, I mean, I know we're on this game, but if we go back to what happened on E-Series, which you were covering around Baku, then it can get quite chaotic, let's just say.
Oh,
And I think
no.
that's probably an understatement for what happened in E-Series.
We've got Pasquale. We'll drag him in. Right, Pasquale, welcome in. Can you hear us?
Hello, hello, hello.
So, P3, I mean, what a result that is to start off the season around Spain. I mean, was you expecting a P3 in the end there?
After my quali, no, to be honest. But yeah, great comeback, and yeah, especially great strategy by my engineer. So nice.
Yes, and
I'm
of course
happy for
you
this results.
you pitted earlier on compared to everybody else. I think you were one of the first, if not the first, to pit onto the hard tyres. I mean, was that always a strategy to go for the heavy undercut, or was it just looking at what was going on around you to make that pit stop?
Yes, with my strategy, nice comeback, but for the end, giga tire management because I was 82, and yeah, the risk was high to take a picture, but yeah, nice results.
Indeed. Omi, any questions from you?
Well, Ranieri, I wanted to come to you in terms of overall. You've of course you were able to get a pole position at the end of last season. You've been trying to get a win for so long. Of course, it fell away in Jeddah. You were corners away at Silverstone as well from possibly getting there last season. What is it that you think right now is stopping you from being able to get to at the tops there? Because you came dangerously close at so many times. So is that the goal next time out in Baku, possibly a bit of chaos, and you can definitely get back up there?
Yes. Especially in this season, I want to win. Especially, unlucky for tonight because the pace was here, but my quali lap was not ideal. But yeah, I try to win this season.
Well, it will be really, really interesting to watch and see whether you'll be able to do exactly that as well. So good luck when it comes to Baku and for the remainder of the season. And I'm sure we'll have you up here in the comms box plenty of time speaking to you about your great performances.
Thanks. Good night, good
Bye.
night.
Congratulations.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
There we go. So we got there in the end. He arrived eventually into the commentary box. But as we were saying, calendar, Baku, next time out. I mean, where do we even begin to start with Baku?
Well, I mean, you have some good experience from the E-Series race, I guess. Honestly, it could go many ways. You could get a really calm first half of the race, and then all chaos in the end, exactly like we saw in the E-Series, where, I mean, the last 2 laps of that was mad.
Yeah, that was something that was. I mean, I think that was the only time where I've never actually been able to compose myself. I mean, I actually burst out laughing. I don't think in I've done 500 broadcasts, and I've never ever done that before. That was the one moment I could not stop myself from laughing. That was just insane. I mean, I wouldn't say no to that again. I'd rather that than a boring race, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens around Azerbaijan. Of course, we have Austria after that on the 26th of Feb, and then we have a week's break. What's that all in aid of? Because I don't know why we have a break, because the esports season isn't rumoured to start until round 6. So, I wonder why that is.
That's just a break. Just a break. For everyone to avoid hearing our voices for a week, I guess.
Indeed. But that is all, guys. A big thank you to everybody joining us, as always, for the F2 broadcast. We'll be back next time out, next week, as we head to Azerbaijan for the Baku City Grand Prix. Of course, it was Sergio Sabrino with top honours this evening ahead of Nelson Alves and Pasquale Ranieri. But, of course, it's a clean sheet as we head into a brand new circuit next week. So, mate, big thanks for you to be alongside me this evening. And, of course, it's been a pleasure to be back in the F2 comms box once again for a brand new season. So, guys, have a good weekend. Have a good week, and we'll see you next time as we head to Azerbaijan for the Baku Grand Prix. Good night.
Bye.